Sekou McMiller, and welcome to my brand new video blog, Frequently Asked Questions About Afro Latin Dance. This blog was designed to answer your questions that you may have had about Afro Latin dance, like how do I move my arms on a certain step, or how do I promote my classes. The way it works is you send in a question to my inbox or my email at info@sekoumcmiller.com. That's info@sekoumcmiller.com. This is the third week, and I've gotten a lot of questions, so let's just get to it. Let me choose a question. All right. This week's question comes from a gentleman from the Dominican Republic, but he now resides in New York City. His question reads as, first two statements, I guess. I know the world of musicality is vast, and its definition may vary from one person to the next. I think many have a clouded view or misconception about musicality. How can you best explain musicality in a way that instructors, dancers, and choreographers can find a common ground? Okay, there's his question. I located it. It's how. It starts with the word how. So how can you best explain musicality in a way that instructors, dancers, and choreographers can find a common ground? So this sounds like he's asking me about a process, because he says, how do I block to get this? So he's asking, how do I explain in order to get common ground? Well, the thing about the discussion about musicality is often parameters are not set for the discussion. Definitions are not offered. Therefore, quite often people are discussing, let's just say the age-old term, comparing apples and oranges. Without a set definition to begin a discussion, you really have no basis for comparison. Meaning that if what you are discussing isn't defined as of yet, then it's impossible to give your opinions and then compare them to each other, because if you're looking at two different aspects, two different qualities, and then giving your opinion about them, they don't really add up. You're really not going to go anywhere with that discussion. So without prior set definitions that are void of prejudice and opinion, then a common ground is very hard to find. So the way I would say how to explain musicality, or how to have a discussion about musicality where everyone can actually find a common ground, is by setting a definition for musicality without prejudice. Basically meaning a definition is fact-based. Opinions are based on one's preference, desires, or experience. So if you find yourself defining musicality by saying, well, I feel that, then you know you're about to give your opinion. That makes sense? So, let me offer up a definition for musicality. Let's first take into account the composition of music. A composer sits down to express an idea, feeling, or thought. Okay? And through this, he determines what his instrumentation will be, his time signature, the key in which he would write it in, the different rhythms he will use, the speed of the music, and then different accents to take the music on its journey from the beginning to the end. So now he may choose to layer different things to create different effects. Like, for instance, putting one note over another one. In some instances, these two notes together create harmony. And then in some instances, these two notes together create a dissonance. This particular sound or vibration affects the listener in different ways. And this is the composer's musicality. It's his ability to create sounds and situations that will affect you, take you on an emotional or intellectual journey while listening to the music. So that's the composer. This is very short and dirty, okay? And then now we're going to go to, say, the actual players, the makers of the music. We're going to start with the conductor. The conductor is standing in front. He's in charge of driving interpretation of the composer's composition. So he will set the tempo. He will determine if the fast tempo is fast, or a little bit medium fast. Okay. Also, he may decide in the middle to speed up in certain places or slow down in certain places. He may decide he wants more energy here and less here. He may decide that he wants one side of the orchestra to go lower, this side to give me more from a certain section, giving a different experience for the listener. His musicality. Cool. Now let's go to the actual musicians, the ones who are playing the music. They will each have their part to play, most of the times written out for them with directions. So over a certain measure, they may have, say, a crescendo, which means to gradually increase your volume of what you're playing, or a decrescendo, which means to start to lower your volume. They may have a hard accent, like a staccato marked over one note, and then legato marked over another note, which means to hit sharp on one and then hold the other, giving another effect for the listener. But then also, in their own interpretations, they may add vibrato, or like play the note straight ahead, or add like an airy sound to give even more texture to the sounds, which gives a different effect on a listener. And then you may have a soloist who may have had the solo written for them. Therefore, now their interpretation is still up to them. So they may choose to bend a note, or stretch a note, or accent certain sounds, or start to fall on the front of the beat, or the back of the beat, or in the middle of the beat, or take one note and hit it hard in the beginning, or rise in the middle of it, or at the end of it. So this is their interpretation of what's going on. So now you have all these musicians now playing together and creating this one song that has all these different layers and textures. You have the intent of the composer, what he or she was trying to express. You have the conductor who has his take on the composer's music. And then you have the musicians and you have the soloists doing their thing. And they're all coming together to create this music. And now a choreographer or dancer is tasked with interpreting this through movement. Whether it's a choreographer who's setting movement to this and expressing maybe a thought that deals with the music, or an independent thought of the music, but the music actually pulls. So the composer and the choreographer may have two different journeys with the same music. Or two choreographers would have two different journeys with the same music, however it affected them. And now you may have a dancer who's a soloist, or maybe doing a freestyle. And now he or she is tasked with finding the complexity of the music. Maybe writing the simple rhythms, maybe finding the little nuances, or like maybe even if they never heard the song before, actually predicting what's coming next because of what has already built up and what feels good. Or their familiarity with this particular composer or director or soloist. And now you have all these different things going on. And now one's ability to, I guess, find these moments and what these moments means to them. And then the vocabulary of movement that they may have or may not have to express what these things mean to them. That would be their musicality. And in my honest opinion, now I'm going to give my opinion, I think no one has the right to judge your individual musicality. It is how you feel the music. It is your interpretation of the music. And that is yours. It's not mine. It is not anyone else's. So never let anyone tell you otherwise. But do be open to growth. If you get a critique, listen to it. Maybe you do need to dig a little deeper into the music. If you are performing and you are selling your product, now it matters. If it's your individual interpretation on the dance floor, it does not matter. If you're now selling the product, and the consensus is your musicality sucks, then maybe you need to look at it and really dig deep into what you're doing. Basically, once you put it out there for sale, you got to sell a good product. That's it, guys, for today. That's how I think you can explain musicality in a way that can find common ground for all involved. You must first set your definition of what you're discussing, and then from there you can give your opinions of said application of definition on whatever you are discussing. Thank you guys so much. You can follow me on Instagram at Sekou Insta, Twitter at Sekou MC, Facebook at Sekou McMiller or Sekou M Dance, or my fan page Sekou McMiller. Also, you can follow my YouTube account, which is what this is on, at Opio2 or Sekou McMiller. Also coming very soon, I have a new venture called Sekou, Life of a Dancer, The Full Experience. You guys are going to really love this. I hope it's going to help a lot of people. I hope this helps you out a lot. Please keep sending in your questions, and I'll be here for the next edition of Frequently Asked Questions about Afro Latin Dance. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye.